Hi again, everyone. Thought I'd touch on a subject here about Ben Hogan. Been a lot of talk about him and his swing. I guess I'll throw my 2 cents worth in. It's been often wanted to be copied, and very few have been able to achieve it. Just wanted to show you one quick swing here of myself when I was younger. Forget the backswing. Backswing's only used to set us up for what's going on later on in the swing. So you can see a little bit of similarity there coming down the load, the footwork, the aggressiveness through the bowl, and up to a high finish. Hogan worked on all this stuff, a little different look than mine, but I think from the feel that I had, hopefully I can give it a little bit of decent insight into what he was trying to achieve with his swing. The one thing we really have to remember about Hogan is he had very flat clubs, lie angle. Done some research on a club that's in the USGA museum, his one iron from the famous shot at Merion, and it measured at 51 degrees when you put a protractor by it, which would be about 8 degrees flat than today's standard if you worked on the same length, of that being a 3 iron today and a 1 iron then. So 8 degrees flat. So unless you really have your equipment set up like him, it's very hard to swing like him. And this is a great observation here. This is Hogan from the 1930s when he had trouble as a hooker of the ball. Very nice down the line view here from out in front. And you can see the swing through. Here's from the face-on view, caddy view as we call it. Very similar type of motion here to what he achieved, later on with his swing that he famously built and had better control over. Now we'll look at his swing from 1954. Very similar sequence of pictures, the frames, very similar positions that we're looking at. Now I'll just let you walk through these and watch, and then we'll see what happens when we do a little side by side of them in a second here. Bit hard to tell when it's in slow motion, but here we go. These are the differences we're going to see. The old Hogan had very much of a right-hand roll. Straightened that right arm, lost his acceleration by dumping his arms through the ball. You can really see it there. The club face is flicked around. And let's have a look what he did later on. So he did more of an angle hinge through the ball. He kept those hands much more solid and never allowed the club face to roll over. So how did he do this? A lot of people say Hogan had one secret. I think he was a little bit smarter than that. I think he had a lot of secrets that led to what he did. Obviously, he changed his grip. He made that a little bit weaker. And that certainly helped him create that feel of that angling of the club through instead of letting that club flip vertical or horizontal on the way through. And this is a really good view of what he was doing, especially from above here. So you can take note, his right arm is actually pinned to his side through the strike. So he really eliminated the opportunity of the club face to go thrusting and throwing off plane and through on the way through. He kept that right arm in nice and tight. And instead of trying to create speed with his hands like most people are prone to do, he replaced that with a pivot. He really sped his rotation and pivot acceleration up through the ball. He talked about having 3 right hands, the way he set his grip up and the way he had his right arm in tight there. He could actually hit as hard as he wanted to with his right hand and never fear the ball really going left like it used to in his younger days, because his pivot was always outracing his hand action. There's a great view of what he did to get this at transition. This goes very much in tune with what he wrote in his book, The 5 Fundamentals, how he didn't want to break that plane of glass. He got up to the top of his swing and shallowed his swing out underneath that plane of glass coming back into the ball. Cupped his wrist at the top a little bit. That's one of the secrets, possibly. What that did was allow him to then rotate his wrists and forearms open. You can see there, he's done that coming down and the club falls behind him, so it always stays under plane. And that's a great photo right there showing. That's not the top of his swing, that's actually starting down. And there's the plane of glass view that he put in his book. So you can see his forearms, wrists are very rotated open with the club behind him. And what this did was just put him straight into impact here. It gave him his free ride down where he could just go straight into impact with his bent right arm, keeping it close to his side. The shaft would stay right on plane, right in the center of his body there, and he'd just rotate through with his pivot and keep that club in line with his chest. See the butt of the club's pointing at his chest as he goes through. His body is turning the club through, not the hands. That's a great view of how he just disappears that club way round to the left. You can see the tension in his forearms here. He's fighting every instinct on these pictures here of throwing the club outwards. He is fighting it with his body and bringing that club up. The speed is bringing that club up nice and high into the finish, showing he's still accelerating as hard as he can to this point in his swing. A great little x-ray of what's been going on beforehand. You can see it here in just about every motion that he makes. It's full extension with acceleration. There's no slowdown. From there, he just gets to his finish with a fold because he's run out of pace. You can see the tension here in his arms, hands. He's not trying to use the force of the club. He's trying to fight the force that's going on with his swing. Keeping that nice right arm nice and bent, and then just rotating it through. He uses his legs at transition here, help him get down a little bit to assist in that drop behind. Look at the really flat entry. That's to do with his clubs, the equipment that he had set up nice and flat. And he realized that rotation around and around the body is the key essence to control. When we start coming down too steep, we're going to want to stall our body and we're going to want to flip with our hands. So he didn't have one secret. There was a lot of different things. He had an extra spike in his right shoe for extra grip, which is pretty great thing to have. You really want to get in grip with the ground because it gives your body even more support to be able to turn off. And a little disappointing with soft spikes today that we really can't get this grip that we really need in the golf swing. And it's another reason why we just don't see ball striking quality that we used to see. The equipment, it's been too upright and light. And even just something as simple as a shoe here, just not being able to make you get a good grip on the ground to be able to turn on through properly. You can see there in this beautiful slow motion swing how the club comes delivered behind, right arm staying bent, and then the acceleration of the body through straightens the right arm up and finishes way up to the top there with a full release and finish. So it's a release with the body, not with the hands. He worked this out, as you could see from his early swings, how he wanted to, really flip that club through a little bit more and not have as much control of it. I always love these footages of Hogan at Augusta there when he was practicing for one of his final Masters. You can see everything at work there. You get up, he knew what to do. You get up, you load the transition with some initial leg work down, let the weight of the club and the forearms roll it back behind you so you come from inside, tuck the right arm in, and accelerate right through to the finish, eliminating all the club face control, the roll and everything. He's just got it. He's doing all the work. He's not letting the club do it all for him. It's beautiful. For more insight, visit bradleyhughesgolf.com or my partner site with John Lag Pressure Erickson, advancedballstriking.com.